Everybody, Howard Jacobson here with Mergoddess Sarah Bofinger. Hi, Sarah.
Ooh, gotta do the wave.
Yeah, so we're working without a net here. We do not have anything to talk about. So what do we talk about when we don't have anything to talk about?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
guess whatever's on our mind in the moment, right? So this is pure moment to moment conversation. No,
Hmm.
nothing agenda, right? So how was your week? What you got a root canal?
I did. I got a root canal. So a couple of noteworthy things about the root canal. Hey, it's Elizabeth.
Yay, the superstar.
Maybe we should try to get Elizabeth to join us.
Yes.
Because unless everyone just wants to hear me talk about my root canal.
Yeah.
Elizabeth, you want to join us? I can add you on Skype. We shall see. Now that she's famous, she's like,
Yeah,
I have to
she
check
may
my
turn us
calendar.
down, right?
So one thing I found really interesting about the process of the root canal is so when they were giving me the anesthetic, these like scary looking needles, right? And then they're just like going up my mouth, like that just feels like a violation. Like sharp things should not be near my inside of
Yeah.
my gut. They bleed so easily, and the gummy and all that. But so as the endodontist was doing that, their endodontic assistant or whatever was standing next to me, tapping my shoulder like this. I mean, maybe more like gently.
Hmm.
And I realized like I'm paying like this is kind of weird. I'm paying attention to this, and like I knew that she was like sticking needles up my face, and I didn't like somehow this captured enough of my attention that it kind of messed up my neurology. Like I wasn't able to focus on the pain. And I
Hmm.
thought that was really, really interesting.
Well, I do like tap, like when I'm like triggered or something like that. Like I go through my whole body and I say like affirmations, and I notice that like I feel, the clearing of whatever it was that was like bothering me now
Hmm.
being released. So that's interesting that they use that on a root canal.
And I don't think it was, any sort of like, tapping solution or what's that stuff? What's that called? TFD. I forget there's a
I
tapping
know
thing.
it's yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Some name,
that's got
yeah.
like like here's the way you do it, and if you do it a different way, then well, that's wrong. But this was just like a different neural input, and I was as I was going through it, I was like self experimenting, like okay, so someone's trying to distract me with this, but at the same time, if I wanted to, could I still feel the pain? Could I still like focus on the discomfort of this blade, this needle? And one of them went right up my palate, which I'd never had before. Like not just
Oh wow.
like no. Like, well, that's intense. And I was trying. I was like perversely saying, like, how much of this pain can I feel? Like, I want to ignore the thing that's trying to make me feel better, and I couldn't. It was almost. It was like this was a neuro hack that overrode my intentional consciousness.
Hmm.
And I kind of got thinking, like, how else could we harness this in our lives to just sort of combine like something with something else. Just like if you're, you posted an Instagram about this workout you were doing that just looked really intense, right? There was some sort of rowing thing on a
Uh-huh.
machine, and like if you just focus on that, you could just feel nothing but pain,
Yes.
right? Whereas what's the our internal equivalent of someone tapping on our shoulder to so that we're still experiencing it. It wasn't like I was being I mean I was being numbed out literally, but I was very present for the whole experience, and somehow it was mitigated by this other source. I wonder, like, when you're doing something that's really, really hard, whether it's a really hard fly workout or just something else, are there ways that you can mitigate the discomfort while still being fully present for it?
Well, I would say I definitely have been like shifting my perception. So instead of like how you were able to focus on that, like I'm focusing on the technique that I'm working on. So instead of being like, oh my, like today, like I swam butterfly. And so like, oh my gosh, like my arms are getting tired. But the whole time I was like, okay, am I engaging my leg? Like, are my toes pointed? Is this, engaging my whole body? And so by me like having all these other thoughts, I completely forgot that I was tired, Yeah.
So that goes along with my run this morning. So last week we went to Asheville, partly to interview Danny and Catherine Dreyer, who are the authors of Chi Running, which is a training methodology that it's essentially Tai Chi, posture and gait and form applied to running, but it's also the idea of like running mindfully, turning running into a practice as opposed to a performance or an event or a workout. And so when I'm doing Chi running, there are these different forms that I want to be thinking about all the time. And so I found like, I always want to run with some book on tape or podcast or music to distract myself. And now, like since this conversation last week, I really want to pay attention to my running because it's so interesting. Like, oh, look, this thing that like raise the crown of your head, which drops your chin a little bit and makes you feel taller. So I'm not like, hunching over and running.
Yeah.
And like, it only takes 10 seconds of me not thinking about it to go back to an old pattern. And so I went through these different form focuses, they call them, for almost an hour, and a run and then a walk at the end. And I realized at the end, like, oh, I had a pretty decent run, but I wasn't focused on tired or achy or sore because I was focusing on the things that I could control rather than these outputs.
Yeah, and it's really fascinating because, even for me, I've been having like some really big shifts in my swimming, and my coach is like so excited how fast I've gotten. But it's like you said, those tiny little things. Like, so I have a rudder when I swim. Like, you hear of a rudder like on a boat where somebody's like going out here and like trying to turn them. Well, my own leg does a rudder. And so now, like, to avoid the rudder, I can so now it's like I only want to focus on pointing my toe, seeing where that goes. And then it's like, it's just like this magical thing that happens because now I'm not like so tired, and I can see where having that rudder was like creating more tiredness, like having my body sink and, all these things. And then like the mind is like, oh, I'm trying to go fast. And like, then like you've created all of that experience.
Oops. Uh-oh.
Oh, no, you're doing two.
Wait, I lost Sarah.
I'll hang up.
Okay, yeah, I'll get her back then. I'll figure this out. Sorry.
Okay.
Sarah.
Hi, it said I was on hold. I was like,
I screwed up. I thought I was just adding Sarah, and I like put you on
you mean
ice.
Elizabeth? You mean Elizabeth?
What? Yeah.
Whatever. Same thing.
Which one am I?
I know. Well, my middle name's Elizabeth, so I could be both.
Okay. Yeah. Was
Which
I just talking about mindfulness? So like, I'm totally screwing everything up.
I was just like, okay, I'm supposed to take a deep breath now. It says I'm on hold.
I'm sorry.
No, that was awesome. That was a great thing for me. So, well, yeah, basically, I was just sharing about my little rudder and how it's created more mindfulness in my body and making me faster.
Gotcha. I apologize for not letting you. I got so eager, like, hey, watch me do this. All right, you ready for Elizabeth?
Yes, come on, Elizabeth.
Okay, let's see if we can achieve this. And calling. Hey.
Hello. Yay!
All right. Hey, all right. So Elizabeth, you got to turn off your Facebook Live because we're hearing ourselves like 20 seconds ago.
I'm trying. There we go.
All right.
That's creepy. We went through a time warp there.
We did. And I'm a very tiny person, and you guys are really big on my screen.
Oh, right. Yeah, we're the faces, and you're the whole torso.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Here, I think I can fix that for myself.
I don't know. I look like a thumbnail.
Yep. All right, there we go.
Well, you're big here.
All right. So what's new with you, Elizabeth?
I was just about to go outside and thaw out. I got one of those cold days going on. We got 90-degree weather in Los Angeles near the beach. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Wow.
you posted a picture of the week's weather.
Weather's drunk. We're 90 the first half of the week. We go back down to 68. So, I don't know. Some of my friends in Texas have 2 coats and then a jacket and then a tank top. And they said, they go through all of them in one day.
Uh-huh.
So
Right.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, it's nighttime class teaching tonight. So my morning is kind of free. I was on live with someone else this morning. And then something popped up on your podcast this morning. And it's just been crazy. So...
You're famous now. That's what it is.
Yeah, all I do now is I don't even do my hair anymore. I put a hat on, put the glasses on.
That's what the movie stars do, right? Like they don't even do their hair when they're just like, okay, just put it on and boom.
I tried the towel crunching thing, Sarah. My curls don't look as good as yours. So
Oh, sorry.
we have to hit the flat iron today.
Yes.
Yeah. So Sarah, have you had a chance to listen to today's podcast?
I haven't yet. I've done some of it, but I want to be fully present for the rest of it. But I'm really excited to hear the rest of it because it was really great.
It's so hard to listen to yourself on a podcast.
Well, and you said,
I know. I never listened to mine.
I never listened to mine either, which is unfortunate because I have done 345 of them. It's really hard to listen. I don't learn anything. I'm no better now than I was when I started because it's so hard to listen to myself. But Elizabeth, you mentioned that this was 2 months ago, and you think differently now.
It's crazy. I'm listening to that, and that was my big, coming to realization of all this mindset. And that's 2 months ago. It feels like 2 years ago. My mind is completely different now.
How so?
Introducing Elizabeth to Elizabeth, it's just so much is automatic. Because I still get relapses. Like today, I'm really cold, so temperature drops, and I just automatically, I'm cold, I'll go outside and warm up. I'm tired, I'm going to go outside and have my walk. I'm becoming what my identity shift is leaning toward. And the crazy thing is, even with coaches, so I just started my I just started my coaching business, my wellness coaching business. And even coaches kind of need coaches from time to time, We're not perfect, we're not there.
Well, I would say especially coaches need coaches.
Yeah.
Right? If we're saying, coaching is useful, that's like a doctor who never goes to a doctor.
That's true. I didn't think about it that way.
Right. Plus we have to keep each other in business.
Sure. Well, yeah.
Coaching is this secret MLM, right? We all have to support the coaches.
Yeah, the weird thing about it, though, even with social media, the outreach, the connection that we feel we have through social media, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but, what I do in coaching is kind of what I would do with a best friend who is physically with me. And we just don't seem to do that so much anymore. So it was just kind of a thought at the back of my head, people helping people, holding them up. And like Josh explained, somebody being just a little bit ahead, being a lighthouse like you and Sarah and Josh are, and Ron and Kevin for me. And I'm realizing I'm a little bit of a lighthouse for the people just a little bit behind me as well. So.
Yeah, it's like the Ferris wheel. It's just a big circle.
We all see the backs of each other's heads. So.
Yeah.
Right. And then we scream and vomit. So.
Right.
Don't talk about Disney, please.
Yeah, sorry.
Please re-listen to that episode.
So what's your vision for your coaching business? Do you have a...
It's kind of a little laid back right now because I've just gotten back into work full time, and I took a full time load for the last couple of semesters. They worked with me a lot and let me take a lot more online classes. So I was physically not in the classroom that much, and I'm back to full bore. So I'm trying to resolve that issue of not jumping back into the mentality I had before where I'm just going to overdo it. For my coaching business, it's brand new. And my main thing is shifting from willpower to identity. So I don't know if you want me to name my wellness coaching, but it's basically the tagline is, what is your wellness identity? So I want to help people shift to identity. I am a healthy person. I am an athlete versus I'm going out every day and just really working it. And it's just taking all my energy and willpower. So just identifying with what you want to identify with, not what I want you to identify with. That's something I really did have to work on in coaching training, not steering the clients, just getting to know the clients and say, well, what do you want your wellness to look like? So I truncated it a little bit, and it kind of feels like stealing a little bit from WellStart, but I called it Well-dentity. Everybody's going to think I'm a dentist now, so I don't know what kind of clients I end up getting.
Oh, well, you do root canals?
That sounds...
Yeah. I was just reading a book called The Liberated Mind by Stephen Hayes, and it's about something he developed many years ago called ACT therapy, ACT, which stands for Acceptance and Commitment Therapy. And one of the things he talks about is helping people go for values rather than goals, which sounds like, sort of the same sort of thing. Like, how would a healthy person behave in this situation? How would an Olympic hopeful be, eat and train today? Right? Like it feels like the identity is like front wheel drive. Right. Whereas goals is like rear wheel. Like you're always, you don't have the same kind of control over where you're going.
That sounds similar to what a mentor, when I was in aerospace, what a mentor once told me. He asked me to look at, what is your 5-year, 10-year goal here at this aerospace company? And when we discussed it, he said, well, right now you're acting like an entry-level employee. Tomorrow I want you to dress and act like the next level up, like you're already there. So that's when I got the business suits, and I was standing taller with the shoulders back, and it was a really great experience. So mentoring and coaching, very similar.
Cool.
I'm just so grateful that I've gotten a chance to witness this transformation, Elizabeth. Like, I'm like, who is this person? Like, I don't even know, because it's like so cool how I've just been like reflecting to you, and then here you are just crushing life. It's awesome.
I'm very grateful you were dragging me along. Yeah, I learned a lot about mindset and vision from Sarah. So, just a new way of going out instead of saying, oh man, I hope I could do this 10 or 15 minute jog and I hope it makes me feel better. She had me envision the whole jog before I would go out. So the way I wanted to see it. And that's what I've been doing with work too, because I have a little bit of PTS at work. I'm kind of dropping the D from what I'm learning. I don't want to really call it a disorder.
Yes.
There's trauma. So it's the same job, the same bosses, the same environment. So I'm just shifting my mind because I think I was kind of producing the negative stuff. I was imagining what it was like when I was feeling horrible. And then I would go to work, like last semester, oh man, this is going to be a rough day. I'm kind of tired. Versus now, I'm imagining the day just going really well, but not making it any specific. You know, any specifics, like Sarah was saying, just imagine the feeling. And that way I'm able to, even when I don't feel super well, I'm able to focus more on, you know, how am I feeling instead of focusing on the negative. And the days have been going really well. This semester is a complete 180 from last year.
That's great.
And with all the same externals in place.
Yes. And I'm also taking better care of myself. So I'm learning, I remember, well, in the podcast, so a little bit of spoiler, the power of yes. I'm learning the power of no.
That's another powerful one. That's a very powerful. No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because if I say no, I could say yes to myself. So
exactly.
Which I need to do so that I don't end up back where I was last year.
Exactly. But like today, I learned something like if you're able to accept where you are, like right now, and all the circumstances that are happening now, like you don't have to like them, right? But just to be able to accept what it is now, like you're shifting what it is that you want to create closer and sooner to come into your reality than by creating that resistance of, oh, you know, this job or this person or, you know, whatever it is. And then you start to essentially shift that mindset, that perception, everything that you were seeing once was now is like you said, like a whole like 180 experience now. You're like, am I in the same reality?
Definitely.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Ooh. Yeah.
Nice.
Hey, while I have you both here, a favor. So Kevin and I are filling up another training cohort for WellStart coaches. And so do you have any words to say to someone who's watching this who might, in the corner of their mind, think about becoming a coach?
That's a hard one.
Well, I would say, like, it's not, like, I wouldn't necessarily, like, because when I went into the coach training, you know, initially, like, I was like, oh, I'm going to be this coach, and I had this, like, identity thing, right? And then, like, as I'm taking the courses, like, I started just, like, coaching myself, and by me applying the tools and everything that I learned, I was then able to effortlessly be a coach. So basically, you know, if you're looking to like fulfill your own journey and gain some knowledge and some tips on like what it is that you could do better at, so then you could help somebody else, you know, this is the training for you.
Well, definitely, if you can help, excuse me, if you can help somebody else, I wanted a better way to be able to help somebody through, I guess, some more advanced issues like me, but just simple issues as well. It would be very useful. I learned so much about myself through the coach training program. And I think one of the biggest things I learned was to listen. So it made me a better friend. It's making me a better teacher.
Yeah, that's what I said, like being a coach and actively helping other people, it feels like this safety net around my own behavior. Right? Like it's so much easier for me, even when no one's watching, to do the right thing because of this additional identity. Like people are counting on me. I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to show up to a call and try to help someone with a problem that I'm not willing to help myself with. Right? I wonder if you guys have have experienced that as well. That having that either public facing or professional addition to your identity is like a gyroscope for your own identity.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And also, and it just like motivates me more to do, essentially the right thing, right? And then I get to share and then see how other people are reacting to it. Like Elizabeth, like me just like doing my own work and then like, hey, like I get you, here's what is working for me. And then to see it working on her and other people, and just like, I mean, it's just so powerful. Like when you have that power to help someone else, like through your own transformation,
Yeah, definitely. Like Josh says, it keeps me a lot more sharp. Is definitely the imposter syndrome I was feeling with my initial outreach for plant-based support. It's like, if I don't look good and I don't feel good, I don't feel like I can fully represent this. So if I'm not doing the work of a coach on myself when I run into issues that are difficult, then I don't feel like I could represent that in my coaching business. So yeah, it's definitely keeping me sharp.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about?
I think that's all. I mean, how everything else is going well for everyone, right? I'm just clearing triggers over here so I can make Team USA next week. So that's all I'm going through, the old identity and creating the new identity. So that's what I'm at.
There's a meet coming up?
Yes. So basically my biggest meet of my career, road to Tokyo, however you may say it, is next weekend. So they classify me to, put me in a category with my hips. And then I race, and I want to do my best because I want to make Team USA. And then when I make Team USA, I get sponsorship, and, I'm just closer to being accepted. Because, like, this race, I'll be nationally classified, but I have to be selected to be internationally classified. So what's really great is like all these like old like feelings and just thoughts are coming up, and it's exciting for me because I'm like, oh, these are coming up for me to see them, appreciate them, love them, and put them out the wayside. And they could come up with either other people or myself, or like I'll share one incident that really had me like, it was a good one, so basically I won't say who it was, but like basically there were like two family members that were having a conversation, and one of the family members was saying like what I was doing, like I'm going to, doing the Paralympics. And the other family member was just like, oh my gosh, like they're not going to accept her. Like, yeah, they'll accept the medical records, but like, no way. Like she's normal, right? Like she doesn't like, why would she need to go do that? Right. Like, and just like all this like hate and negativity and, all these things. And the beautiful thing that like when the person told me that they had said that, like, I just couldn't help but just have so much love. I was like, oh my gosh, like, they have no idea. Like, they don't know, like the whole point of my journey is to, like, inspire and encourage people. And if the Paralympics is where I'm supposed to be to make the gold medal, then that's where I'm going to be. And that's where I'm at, And usually before I would get like super triggered and I would like tell myself like I'm not good enough, and all these things. But it was just so like for me to just understand and like see them as like a beautiful like person that has no idea what I'm doing or what my purpose is. And just for them to see me in this like dense like, when is she going to get a 9-to-5 job? Or, when is she going to just, like, give up this thing and, like, do something else, And it was, like, so cool that, like, there's still, like, a version of me in someone's reality that, like, thinks that, like, this should be the reality that I play out, right? But, like, and it was just like, it brought up a lot. Like, I just like found myself like moment after moment, just like, okay, like, I like, this is great. Like, everything is all good, you know, and just, but like, usually, you know, it's like you get better and better. Just like when you know who you are and you accept that, you know, you don't allow any other type of judgments, whatever, because it was judgments I had on myself. Like, obviously, these were things that I've had buried deep down that now were reflected to me in another person, and I was able to, instead of shove it down, you know, I was able to like look at it, love it, and be like, okay, that's cool, you know, that's another version of a reality, and move from that, you know.
Yeah, it's almost like you open this bag of all your past shit, and you can dissociate from it enough that you can look at it without shame. It's like, look at all these old beliefs, these old triggers. Oh, I still feel them, right? But it's the difference between, like, you know, stepping in someone else's dog shit or stepping in your own shit, I guess.
Yeah, essentially, right? You're just like, whoa, like that, like, because I wouldn't have known that that was still, you know, like, there was still a piece that was, you know, bye-bye. There was still a piece of that, you know, was still lingering on to me, you know, but by knowing that I'm stepping into something I've never been, all the stuff that I used to be or maybe associated myself with has to go now, so that I have room for this new thing that I've never created. And that's like being on Team USA, being an elite athlete where people like actually see, like, oh my gosh, like, I already see it, right? Like, it's already, I've already created the vision, but for other people worldwide to see it and see the vision and see the direction and what I'm trying to do for the world, you know, that is exciting. And it was so cool because you sent me, Howard, your letter of recommendation literally when I was like going through all of this, and it was like, it literally, like, I started crying because I was like, oh, a person that sees me. Like, I mean, you just basically like shared what I'm feeling inside in words that I want to like communicate to the world, and it was like you like showed that back to me, like, and then it was just like, okay, everything's like great, you know.
Well, it was pretty easy to write,
right? Yes. Well, that's, I mean, well, but also it's like when you can see the difference, right? But if you're on a place where you can't see the difference and you can't, it's just, you don't understand, you know, you just don't understand, and it's cool, you know, and you can allow that and go from that.
right? But what I want to accentuate is that your ability to move beyond it with other people and to create these visions is founded on your willingness to look at absolutely everything that's inside you. There's nothing anymore that you are scared of seeing.
Yeah.
And I think that is the foundation upon which you can build. Right. I'm still in like teeth metaphor. So like, you know, I had this like, you know, this rotten like you couldn't, you know, it's like, couldn't you just put another cavity, you know, another filling on top? Couldn't we put a, you know, like, no, we've got to drain the rot. And if I didn't want, like, as soon as this is going to be gross, but as soon as they started drilling, I smelled like, it smelled like dead animal, like carcass. And I was like, oh my God, is that the filling? Is that the smell of the drill? And they're like, no, that's you. And I was really embarrassed. Like, I don't want people to smell me. You know, like this necrotic pulp. And they're like, these nice people who are working on my teeth have to smell this stuff that I'm smelling. But it's like the willingness to say there's nothing inside me that I can't face then gives you the freedom to forgive others, to create visions that aren't going to be like, if you have this vision, but there's like one little inner doubt that is contradicted by it and you're unwilling to look at it, that vision is a facade. It's fake.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it can't come true the way that I would want it to because I'm not willing to look at that a little deeper and release it and acknowledge it. The other thing that's been really fun is that, so my coach hasn't wanted me to shave for my race. And so now I've got and it's so funny because I found out where this trigger came from. My mom would always be looking at the women in the locker room and be like, oh my gosh, look at them. They have this bird's nest, underneath their armpit, right? And so now this is what I have because I haven't shaved in probably a month or so, right? And so I had to be okay with you know what? This is the new me. And, this is how I'm getting ready for a race. And, this is what people do. Because I never, did this. But the coach was like, hey, be a jungle girl now, I'm like, okay, let's embrace the jungle girl. And, and go with that. And it's every time I find myself, okay, there's still a little insecurity. Okay, well, let's look at this a little more. And because every day I'm still having to swim. It's not like I could wear some kind of long sleeve, shirt that's gonna in the water, right? I'm having to race like this and all these things. And the purpose is because apparently, you drop this time after having this drag of hair, right? So I'm running with it, but this is another thing of where did all these characters come from, And then it's okay, it came from somewhere under there, and now I'm bringing it up,
Wow. So we could start a business selling underarm beards for swimmers.
Yes. You could, literally. And it's I'm wondering, so do I take a picture before and after, do I measure it? Do I give it to some kid? Is it that long? What? So these are the things now I'm trying to laugh. And it's so funny because Captain America, because I would be every time I'd be oh man, I want to shave, and he's Sarah, you want to make Team USA, and this is how it is, and it's all good, just accepted me of who I am, and I'm just man, this is awesome for, to remind me to accept me for who I am, where I am right now, and it's all good,
Yeah, you can maybe get a pixie cut.
Yeah, have a diet, all of a sudden people will be what? But I guess the point is, right, it doesn't matter about what anyone thinks, even with you when you were oh, somebody can smell my what I smell and it's who cares? Okay, that's what it is. And when you can accept yourself where you are in the moment, it just becomes really profound, and so I'm okay, this is exciting. Because if I'm cutting time with hair that I've never had, what am I going to do when it's I get to shave on Halloween too, which is so so now it's okay, I'm a new person on Halloween.
You can decorate your pumpkin with it.
Yeah, exactly. This is the hair of Sarah. How long could it cover a whole pumpkin head, I better start taking some hair growth, right? So I could make sure it can cover the top of the pumpkin. Yeah. Too funny.
All right. Well, Elizabeth, welcome back.
So I was gone for 10 seconds and I come back in on underarm beards.
Yes. Well, basically because what I was sharing was that I haven't again with my accepting where I am, how I am, my coach hasn't wanted me to shave, and so I've been having to accept being in the water, with hair in places I've never had it. And it's funny because I found the trigger. My mom when we would go to these locker rooms, she would be oh, look at that lady, she has a bird's nest under there. And so I was oh, Mom, this is where I got the trigger from. And now my mom's I think I might go no shave November. I was like, oh, how, like, by me, like, embracing this, right? Maybe now it's going to allow her to release her triggers, so.
But that's really big what you said, accepting where you are, because that was huge for me, too. And I'm still, I'm a little bit older than you, so I'm starting
just
to
a tiny bit.
Wrinkles and stuff, that are popping up, and that I kind of look goofy when I jog, but that acceptance, definitely, you can move forward and from your future self, you got to move forward from your present self.
Because the past, present, and the future are all now. So you can dwell on the past, right? You can, like, worry about the future, or you can just, like, vision all these really great things and be in the now, right?
Easier said than done, but yeah.
Yes, I understand. Trust me. There's always things to be worked with, but it just gets more and more fun as you, like, just recognize who you are and, like, being able to accept that and just being like, okay, like, this is how it is, and, like, okay, like, this is good. Cool.
All right. Oh, we got a big rainstorm going on here.
Oh, wow. We have some
that's what
rain
that is.
here.
Yeah, which we need.
Yes.
Let's see if you can.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Send some of that to Los Angeles.
We having rain too. We have rain. Just a little rain here too. It rained all day on Sunday, which was perfect because I only did nothing but sit on the couch. And that's another thing that I've been working with. Just being able to sit down. Can you imagine how hard that is when you don't like to do that? It's like, okay, I can do it. But now it's getting easier, so you just roll with the punches.
All right. Well, it's a pleasure living with both of you.
Yeah, thanks, Elizabeth, for hopping on.
Yes, thank you for your impromptu-ness.
Yes.
Yeah, hat and glasses works every time.
Yeah.
Now go enjoy that sun.
Oh, yeah, get a superhero pose on the patio. My favorite thing.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Well, talk to you guys later.
See ya.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.